Welcome to Breaking the Ice. We're Patel, Greene & Associates, and we're here to tell stories about our three favorite things: business, culture, and engineering. Let's get to it. Coming up.
I want to enjoy the people that I'm spending all this time with. Invited to like conferences and presenting at, different user groups around the country. At PGA, our willingness to like really lean into innovation and sit in the space between IT and our design disciplines. Yep. Now we're able to offer continuing education credits to people in Florida and even outside the state.
All right, well, welcome to PGA's Breaking the Ice podcast. Really happy to have Eddie Giese with me today.
It's me. Rhymes with ice.
Rhymes with ice.
Easy to remember.
If you're wondering how to say his name, just remember he was on Breaking the Ice. It's Eddie Giese. Man, really happy to have you here.
I'm thrilled.
For this episode. We just start out with a little bit of an introduction. Let you introduce yourself. Just kind of maybe brief background, and then we'll tell a little story about, well, I guess how we came to know each other, but then how you
came to know each other again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a roadway background. 20 years now, which hurts to say. Probably see the gray hairs. Mm-hmm. Never gets any easier, but I kind of, I've moved around a little bit geographically, not so much with companies, right? But we got to start down here in Florida. I'm from Maryland originally, right after school, and got to know a lot of folks that I work with now still, including yourself. And then, life happened and circumstances changed. So we moved back up north and we moved to Pennsylvania, and we were there for 10 years. So I got to know different people and lose some of those connections down here that, I had and were starting to develop. And then, 2019 came around and we decided through other life circumstances, we were ready to make another change. And, I guess we'll get into it, but I shot you a text message or something, just probably out of the complete blue, like in early 2019. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, man, you got time for a call?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Can you start?
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, I had been following around, like what you guys had been doing from when you got started. And, obviously I'd worked with you and hiring before, and then seeing the structures group grow, and I had worked with Johnny and Joe, and then Tommy, obviously, right? Like, he taught me CAD, so I mean, that's the guy right there. So just all those people, and that's what it's always been about for me, is the people you work with. I mean, engineering is one thing, and it can be difficult at times, but the hardest thing, but also the most rewarding thing, is the people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So if we go way back, I guess that 20
that's pretty way back
years ago, I had come back to the Bartow office after, I guess that's right. I was getting some managerial experience as a young, whatever, and so we were going to hire an EI in the Bartow office at PBS&J, and I got all these resumes, and it's the first time I've ever done any of that. And I get to Eddie Giese. I probably said your name wrong the first time we talked. I don't know. And we had a really good conversation, and you ended up not taking the job, but you kind of did, because I guess they were also recruiting you out of the Tampa office. Now that I look back, like,
I think so.
How did we cross those lines?
The details are a little fuzzy because I was on spring break. So there were
I think
a couple
I followed
places
up with you because I remember that call, and you were so nice as always. But you were like, no, I can't come there because I'm going to go work at Tampa. So I remember thinking like, oh, well, okay, that's great. And then we ended up hiring Isa Marie Lopez. Oh, yeah. Anybody here know who she ended up marrying?
I do, but I have the answers to the test.
I know you know. Manny Monreal. Yeah, small world, yeah. So I heard Isa and said to you, not that she was second choice. So anyway, small world.
Yeah.
And that was a long time ago. And of course, we had to work together because I did a good bit of work over there in the Tampa office. Yeah. And, you were great from the get. You know, he was obviously when some folks start, you can just tell like, oh, okay, like they really get it. Not to mention like super easy to work with and all that. And I guess about the time Aaron and I were doing our thing, I can't remember the dates. Either you left a little bit before or a little bit after. When did you move up again?
We moved up end of 2008.
Oh, okay. So it was
Yeah.
quite a bit before. But I think
Yeah.
I had
But
mostly
I was
made my
still-
transition back to Bartow. by
Yeah, and I
then,
was
so-
still with PBS&J until
that's
2011.
right. That's right.
Like right before
Okay,
you
so it's
guys
about the
started.
same.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
around
yeah.
the same time.
Yeah, and then you're right. So we're growing, and we're always looking. This was like the part of PGA where we were always hiring as fast as we could. Basically, we were at that phase of our growth, and yeah, I can't remember if we just heard maybe you were thinking of moving back, or you initiated that.
I did, yeah.
And yeah, there was like, it was go from
Yeah.
the start. Yeah, because I remember all that, and you done a good job of keeping in touch with everyone, and so yeah, the circumstances or whatever aside, like I was super excited for the opportunity. And we had a pretty quick conversation, I think. And
Yeah.
you were more like
that.
wanting to extend. Like, are you sure? I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, man. Like,
That's just me.
Are you sure? Like, you're getting an offer letter like tomorrow. You better be sure.
I'm like, should I meet some other, people I know Mark Dunn, but
Nope.
Yeah.
It's mine. It's mine. The executive decision. Send the offer letter.
I appreciate that. I mean, that took so much stress out of it. I mean, we had enough stress with the move and everything. We had just finalized adoptions, and that was part of the reason we were trying to make, clean slate and start over, kind of give everybody a fresh start. And I think, it's just been super for the best. Not just personally, but also professionally. I mean, there's always been, I've always had, so when we first moved up, I was reluctant for some reasons, mainly, professionally, just because I'm like, okay, well, I've already started to make inroads with people and make these connections and start forming relationships, but I was still young. I didn't even have my PE yet, and I knew that was going to take time. And then I basically would have to more or less start over, right? So now I just didn't lose 2.5 years, 3 years, but it felt like that in a way, right? And then even kind of through my time still there, as I was starting to rebuild relationships in Pennsylvania, I'm still thinking in the back, I still have friends down here, like Tommy and I would text and stuff like that and stay in touch. And I think we played like Mario Kart Wii, like on like Wednesday nights for a while there, even after I had moved. But, it was that when you move geographies, it's tough, right? Because you're like, I got to learn not just a whole different set of standards or things like that, but I've also got to learn a different set of people. And yes, engineering for the most part is the same, at least what we do, as you go around the country. But it's the people again. It just goes back to that. So having that unease, and I think that was part of what was coming through a little bit. Maybe it's a little humility or whatever, but it was that. Do I really know what I'm doing? Like, do I really know these things? Yeah, and I still have that. I mean, I don't think I'll ever outgrow that, but that's just part of me. But I think, just your like willingness, I guess, or encouragement, like right off the bat, like that, just that instilled a lot of confidence in me. Like, okay, yeah, I see what Gordon's doing and everything, and the whole team there, and like already has some trust in me. So that in a way it set me at ease, but in a way it's also like, well, now I have extra pressure, like to prove it, right? He's kind of vouching for me. So
I'm not worried about that.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we had something special in that back room of PBS&J.
We did.
So, anybody that was in the mix there that was available, like, we're bringing them in if we can. And so you were part of that. Even as a young man, like, you could just tell.
Yeah.
You could just tell.
Yeah. I think a lot of that's held true, right? Like those people are the same people that we work with to this day.
And we weren't able to pull all of them in, but we sure got a whole bunch of them. And the ones that we weren't are doing, amazing stuff somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You do. You kind of, it gets formed in the trenches a little bit, those long, long weeks and months and difficult things. But that's where you see a person's true character, I think. And that's always just stuck with me is like, I want to enjoy the people that I'm spending all this time with. And it's a lot of time.
Exactly.
And it's what our career is. So,
Yep. All right. So you talk about, you learn how to do work for FDOT, and then you move up north. Now you learn how to do work up there. Now you got to come back. Because you weren't up there for like a year or two. You were up there for
a decade.
Yeah, a good while.
Yes.
Plenty of time for things to get a little rusty. So talk a little bit about that experience on both ends if you want.
Yeah, that was I was scared about it, but not, if that makes sense. Like I was worried about all the things I had lost and didn't know, but maybe more so like the people, right? Like, so at my level at that time, right, 2019, I would have been, I guess 13 years in. Like, I should be winning work and managing projects and people know who I am and that kind of thing, And I'm like, okay, I got to come in and just like, make a name for myself, right, But also I had some level of confidence in like what I could do and the people I already knew. And I knew that you all would not let me, drown without a life raft kind of thing.
Right.
I wasn't going to just be left out on an island. Stick with the ocean analogies. I don't know why we're going there, but we are. Yeah. So I mean, I think, that was always something that was just really like kind of in my mind. And there was that pressure, even if it was just self-imposed more than coming from anybody else. And, I'm trying to feed a family and have a house and all these kind of things. But I think, it kind of, I had always done, and this is where like my career kind of took a little bit of a turn, I think. I had always been pretty like good at the technology stuff and I really liked it. I learned the engineering. I liked it. I think I'm okay at it. I did the project management thing, still do it to a degree. Think I'm okay at it. But like, are those the things I love? Probably not. Like, I realized that the technology stuff was the stuff I love. So I knew moving back down here, again, I feel like I'm making up lost time. It's like, how do I carve out a niche for myself or help close that gap amongst my peers, right? Like I'm looking at people that are my same age or a year or two older, and I'm like, I feel like I'm way behind because I don't have these connections and relationships and stuff like that. And that's where me kind of like leaning into the technology and all that really kind of, I saw that as an opportunity, and it's like a thing I really actually do like and enjoy. So kind of it worked out.
And through it, built lots of good relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. Unintended.
Yeah.
Maybe. But yes, absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, talk a little bit more about that. Stepping into some of these roles and sort of the key context that you've built, in this new role.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one area that I think, like I said, I was kind of nervous about, but everyone was so great about just getting me plugged in right away. It's like, you got your P, let's make you an EOR on this project. That way you're getting FaceTime with clients, you're getting FaceTime with other consultants, getting to know more of our own staff, right? Because I just moved. And so Trevor Hawkins was really good about that. He's like, you be EOR on this 3-hour project. I'm like, awesome, let's do it, right? Like, let's go. Just didn't waste any time. And that hadn't always been my experience in my career. It was more like, well, when you get there, you can, so I really appreciated that. And then kind of bringing me alongside on, deputy project manager type roles where I'm basically running the project internally, right? Making sure we're hitting all our milestones and communicating what we need to. So like working with hiring and District 2, working with you at Turnpike, things like that. So, that was great. Help building those relationships and get me kind of ingrained a little bit more. And then through all the technology stuff and like just my love of sharing information that I have, like, I don't know, I've been able to build a lot of relationships out of that too, just across the whole state and even out of the state now. I mean, we're starting to get more and more invited to like conferences and presenting at, different user groups around the country and things like that. So that's been really, really cool. Good way for us to continue to get our name out as PGA and just show like, we may not be as big as some of these other firms, but we can innovate just as well as any of them.
Right.
And we can be nimble, which a lot of larger firms can't. Like at our size, we can really be flexible and just be like, we're going to go do this thing and then just go do it. Not have to go through those
Exactly.
50 layers of red tape.
Yeah, and I think we'll shake up the order here a little bit. Talk about E.5. I think that was a big part of getting the word out. On PGA, I guess, but eventually on you. Not only your technical abilities, but then also your, which I think is, yes, you're gifted there. There's no doubt, but like your ability to communicate those things is like extra special and extraordinary in my opinion. It's not just my opinion. Obviously, you're getting invited to do all these things because
Thank you.
People are impressed. And I think E.5 had a lot to do that, which I didn't even know was a thing until we were invited
Right.
when we did the Polk Parkway pilot project, and Trevor and I went up to Asheville and we did that presentation, and I was like, wow, this is kind of a big deal, and there are people from all over the country and different DOTs, and wow, they're struggling with a lot of the same things that we're struggling with, and some of them. Wow, they're even a little bit ahead of FDOT. I didn't think that was possible, How dare they? But it's such a great environment because everybody's so ready to share information and, rising tide lifts all boats, all that stuff, And so we came away from that and like, okay, I guess we need to be a part of this every year because being on that cutting edge of technology, especially when it comes to engineering and design production is a big part of us, and so you were here, you were definitely here by then, and so it's like, okay, well Daddy's going to be going to E.5. And I don't know how many. I know COVID screwed one of those. I guess maybe the next one up.
COVID and then Hurricane Ian.
It's
it's like it was just one thing after another, and just couldn't.
Yeah, the one we got in Florida.
Yeah,
because they're all over the country.
Yeah, they move around.
Yeah. So talk a little about E.5 and what we've done there. And
so y'all got to present, and I remember seeing all that and thinking, "That's so cool. I want to do that." And so eventually, the time finally came, and I was able to do that this past year up in South Carolina, and share. Yeah, I was sharing more about what we like, our lessons learned and best practices we've developed. I mean, I think, if I want to see the industry continue to move forward, I think that's good for everybody.
Yes.
And so I want to share what I've learned and know. And I know that, it's like karma or whatever you want to call it. It's going to come back around to you. Like somebody else is going to share something that they learned with you. And so just kind of resting in that is always good. And I think that's been my mindset for a very long time. But it was such a cool experience because, I think there were like 46 or 47 of the DOTs were there. And then even some international folks as well. So a lot of representation. And I'll be honest, most of it was bigger firms. Like I even asked during my presentation, I just did like a show of hands. How many people are from agencies? And it was a good number. I don't know, 65% of the crowd there. How many are, firms that are 300 plus people, what I would consider, pretty large. And then, there's another big show of hands. And then how many under that? And there were 3 of us, me, Tommy, and one other person. I don't know his name. I'm sorry if you're watching this. I don't remember your name. But I thought that was really cool because it showed a couple things. One is that just at PGA, our willingness to like really lean into innovation and just push the needle on things, whether that's an innovative concept with a design or using technology a certain way or the way we lean into our culture, whatever that is, we're never like afraid to give that a try.
Yes.
And I think that demonstrated that. And then that was just, that just really like hit on that point for me. But also just that like things like technology can be an equalizer. Like just because I'm in a room with people that are at 2,500 person firms, and we're, a tenth of that size or whatever. Like we're doing the same thing, and that's pretty cool. And I feel like I get a lot of pride in that. I think, you try to stay humble, but you get proud about stuff like that.
Well, it can be a recruiting tool because we can tell people like, you can come work for us and you're not going to miss anything.
Right.
Might be better actually.
Might get to do more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've been able to do that.
Yes, for sure. Well, I was going to touch on their core values and excellence because you talked about, wanting to be, really good at what we're doing. And I think it's a great example of, okay, we've all got to use MicroStation, ORD, whatever. We have to do it. So we better get pretty good at it.
Right.
Okay. Everybody's pretty good at it. We don't want to just be pretty good at it. Our core value is excellence. So we can't be totally excellent at everything all the time, especially when we're starting. But that is always what we're working towards. And having you join, like, move the needle. Okay, we can get better at this. Of course, we already had Tommy. And then when you formed this group, which we'll get into, and focused that talent, when okay, now we're catching attention because now we're really moving into a state of excellence that really can be unrivaled. Not that there aren't other individuals and groups and other companies that are also very excellent at this. There definitely are, but we're among them. We're certainly among them. And I know you're seen as that through some of what you've done through ACEC and other things, and so that's definitely a source of pride for us, and like a good example of when we're talking about a core value of excellence and how we want to stand apart as actually chasing that core value down all the way to the end. There's work to do, right? There's always work to do.
Can you ever hit it?
No,
right?
But
like that's the goal.
You go after it hard, it'll be noticeable by others that like, wow, they're not pretty good at that. They are really good at that. Actually, you know what? If you got a question on that, you should call
Go
Eddie.
ask them. Yeah.
And so I think we're pretty much there. So now it's like, okay, we got to stay there. So it's a lot of work.
No, I think
you don't get there and sit. You get there and you keep working.
Yeah, I think my outlook on it is maybe a little different with that. I think once you achieve excellence, then you need to make excellence something else.
Yes.
And then go, maybe not a completely different thing, but the next level of wherever that thing is.
Excellence isn't like a peak that you reach and then you go back down. Like,
I don't think
it's work. Yeah, it stays work.
Yeah.
But y'all done such a fantastic job with that. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about that. Professional development and the things. We'll maybe talk about the group and the origin of that, because I think that was really sort of the catalyst and genesis of some of these other things that came after that in terms of being a seed writer and all the credentials that you all have now with Bentley. So yeah, talk some about that.
Yeah, so I mean, it goes back to kind of my origin story, right? My villain story. And always liking technology and realizing that like that was the thing I was good at and that I really wanted to do more of it, and then seeing that there was a place for that, and just through some of the folks that I'm friends with in the industry that I have a lot of respect for at other firms. I was seeing what they were doing, and these are much larger firms. And I'm like, there's no reason I can't do the same thing if I have the right people around me, right? Like, I'm not going to be able to do that by myself. I need people like Tommy and Charles and Matt and folks like that have a similar kind of mindset. Like, just because we're doing it this way doesn't mean we have to do it this way.
Exactly.
Right? And just always looking for that extra little edge, I guess you could say. Like, how can we just make this thing that much better? I don't know if you remember BASF, like those commercials. This is going back a ways. But they were like, their whole thing was like, they show like a guy on a surfboard and then cut to like an airplane or something. But it was like, we don't make the things you buy, we make the things you buy better.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
So that's been like a little bit of a, wasn't my idea, but a little mantra a little bit.
Challenge, find a clip of that.
There you go. Yeah.
At BASF, we don't make a lot of the products you buy. We make a lot of the products you buy better.
So I think I was at a point where I was like, you know what? I think I want to like try this thing. And I knew that like, if it wasn't going to work, I could always just go back to doing what I was doing. I'd be happy. It'd be fine.
Sure.
So I think I had like, messaged you out of the blue. Again, I'm really good at just blindsiding.
I like it.
Hopefully I'm like,
You're 2 for 2, or maybe better than that. But yeah.
hopefully it's never like, oh no, what's he going to talk to me about? But because I always get that hit in my stomach when somebody just cold.
I just worry
messaged me.
somebody's going to quit when they say can we talk. So,
Yeah. I got to be
appreciate
like,
that.
it's a good thing. I promise. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. I need to hear that. And yeah, we went to lunch. I kind of pitched this idea to you, and I think I was having a hard time really like explaining it and what my vision for it was, but I knew that we could do it and it would work. I just felt that in my core. And, you had some great questions for me, some stuff that I hadn't thought about, and I've never like led a group before. I mean, I've had, I've supervised people, but that's, this is different. Especially something that's kind of, in a way, uncharted territory. Like everybody's doing, if they are doing this, they're doing it differently.
Sure.
Like you can kind of set your own tune. But like a roadway group is a roadway group and a drainage group is I mean, there's some nuance there, obviously,
Sure.
but, there's kind of no standard for this, I guess, in a way. So hearing some of your questions and thoughts about it that really unlocked some other things for me. And I'm like, okay, I got to really like think this through a little bit more. But, I felt like I had your confidence, and that really, again, helped, that's the push I needed, I think. And we talked about who might be in the group and things like that. And that has perfectly come to fruition, which is awesome. One of our first goals was hire Matt again. Like, get Matt back. We're like, check, we did it, guys. No, it's just been great. But yeah, I think if you think about like the gap it fills, if there really is a gap there, I think there is. But I like to tell, because like, what the heck is design development? We just like kind of made that up, right? I just like to say we sit in the space between IT and our design disciplines. Yep. Just if I got to give you a 1-sentence description,
That's pretty good.
we love technology and stuff, but we love design. So like we're kind of wearing both hats in a way,
And that's a special skill set. There's lots of engineers and they're math brained and all those things, but not necessarily IT brain. That's a different brain. And y'all got both brains.
Yeah, maybe so. But I think part of the impetus for it too was, I remember working in those trenches like we were talking about, and those long hours. And I always go back to, if I can do something that should take me 60 hours and I can do it in 50, like I get home sooner. Mm-hmm. And the same for everybody that I'm working with. And that's just like our mission says, families is the first thing on the list there. And so that kind of helps keep us motivated, I think, to just, like I said, we're always trying to chip away at things and make them a little better. Sometimes somebody has a fantastic idea and it ends up being a huge time saver across the board. It's like an immediate thing.
But you got to have time to think about those things.
And spend the time
Exactly.
to like develop whatever that thing is, whether it's
it down.
like a spreadsheet or a tool that you code or whatever that thing is. But, ultimately, I actually think it's a lot of the little ones that get you there. And those are so much harder to like quantify and like kind of believe in. But I think that it's all these little incremental, okay, this saved me 30 seconds. This saved me 5-10 minutes. But you start, if it's a thing you're doing all the time and everybody's doing it, you start multiplying that out, it becomes a real number. And, people freeing up to do other things and really spend their time like designing or whatever task that they're working on, kind of lets them spend more time doing that. And then ultimately, hopefully get home earlier.
Well, it keeps them on their train of thought a lot of times too. You don't have to stop one train of thought to go click through this other process. When y'all build them a tool, they can just sort of click the thing and keep moving. Which, I mean, that's hard to quantify, but that's a real thing.
Yeah. And it's easy you could try to quantify it. And if someone asked me to, well, I would, but I don't know if I'd get a good answer that I felt good about. But I think that's where the trust comes in.
Yes.
Right. And just knowing like somebody's got my back, and I've always felt that way here. I've always felt like somebody has my back.
Well, and I can remember that conference room meeting, and I do remember it sort of kind of being out of the blue, like Eddie's got something to talk to us about. Okay, cool. And yeah, you laid all that stuff out, and I guess I had some. I'm glad they were good questions. But even though you were answering them, I'm trying to think back. My recollection is still, I didn't have my head all the way wrapped around what you wanted to do, but I could tell you did. And I think maybe a good thing about us is, even though I had some questions, there weren't really concerns, just questions, just to help understand. But there was no need for you to wait on me to understand it fully. Like, I understood enough that you knew you knew it was going to work. Right. I could tell. And that was enough for me.
I sure hope.
Like he'll get it done. You'll figure it out. It'll be great. Tell me later about how you got it all done. We don't always operate that way.
Yeah.
But I think, with what you were wanting to do and the confidence I could see that you had, and the trust that we had in you, you're not gonna waste time. You're not gonna do anything that's going to be inefficient for us. That I was not worried about for sure. So it's like, okay, man, like, go for it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think too, and even when we talked, I'm a big believer that to really understand this stuff, you still need to like have your hand in it in some way, shape, or form. So our guys were involved in projects, including myself. Like, I don't really see that ever leaving. We all still like to do that. And I think that's maybe what makes us a little different than maybe some other folks who are doing something similar. Mm-hmm. Just because there's a lot of value in that. And again, it goes back to the trenches thing, right? Like, if I'm there with you and I see the problem you're having, well, now I'm just that much more invested to help you get through it and get you back to doing what you need to do and not let that hold you up. But yeah, all that just, became a catalyst, like you said, for getting our continuing education provider license through the Florida board. I mean, that was a little bit of a process, demonstrating like our ability to teach and the things we would teach. But now we're able to offer continuing education credits to people in Florida and even outside the state, depending on the rules. But that's pretty cool. We like that. And so we're going to be doing some more trainings coming up, later this year. We have plans to do that. So help people out, get their CE license. And again, just kind of cement us as the experts that we are, right? We're trying to do things.
I think that was one of the things you had in there in your original pitch was like, we could do training. And I'm like, people are going to pay us to go train them? And
yes,
they will.
They will. Yeah. If you know what you're talking about.
Yes.
I think we do. Yes. So yeah, I'd be happy to do that. And we're like, FDOT, MOT providers. So we teach those classes too. Which has been a good benefit for our staff, but also some of our clients who needed to get the certification, things like that. And it just goes back to, not gatekeeping knowledge. Like, if I know something and I haven't told you, it's not on purpose. It's just like the time didn't come up, where I felt like I should share that with you kind of thing. So we kind of keep that as a guiding principle of our group, and I think that's been really good. And guys like Tommy and Charlie and Matt, I mean, that's just who they are, and so that's why I just naturally like those are the people I want on my team.
It's a teacher's heart thing. Like that was always Tommy. Like you talked about, Tommy taught UCAD, and he's taught me plenty over the years, and Matt's the wizard, and all that stuff. And it is a unique thing that we have. And I knew one of the things that that was going to make it work was, which was probably the thing maybe you were most concerned about selling us on, was we're going to pull these guys out of production a little bit. Yeah. And because they're going to need time to build some of these tools. And these aren't like, well, hey, those guys weren't all that efficient anyway, so sure. Like, these are the workhorse, like the absolute workhorses. So, but the value provided by the group, like we've been talking about, it's worth it. But that was only going to work if like we held to that. But it's also kind of a give and take, right? Like
it is. That's
like
a
I know, like
balance.
right now, Charlie's working a lot, and that stuff happens. But we'll work that balance, and we've tried to hold up our end of the bargain. And like you say, you want to stay on projects because you can't stay sharp if you pull yourself totally out of projects.
I believe that.
And so that was always the plan. So even you have stayed very, very much in projects, but more time set aside than others to develop these tools.
The scale is tilted a little bit, right? But not always.
And that
it's an ebb and flow
through the year. Right. And I think that's how we've always tried to approach really everyone best we can. Some people have, or groups have specific needs and expectations, and we'll communicate those, and we'll honor them on average, right? Yeah. And then overall, as a company, everybody has their own needs for work-life balance. And Trevor was on here. And he introduces work-life sway. Yes. You can go back to episode 3. Was Trevor, I think?
Sounds right.
You can find Trevor.
Yeah.
Life is a sway like that, and we try to honor that with everyone here. And then sometimes, like I said, there's specific things where like your group's not going to be successful if we don't communicate. Like we may lose track, and maybe we're putting too much on y'all. You feel comfortable and confident to say we're not being able to do the things that we're supposed to be doing. So we need to get some stuff off of these guys. But I don't even think we've had to have that conversation.
We haven't. I feel like it hasn't been the easiest thing to balance.
Sure.
But I'm
because these are wanted folks.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it can be the balance the other way, because we can run into a situation where, well, we don't really want to stick them on this project because we know that's going to just tip them over that point where we're getting kind of dicey here, right? With how much time we're spending on our projects and initiatives. But, I think we've done an okay job balancing. And I just, it's just talking to your people, like, how are you feeling? Like, you good? Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Then we'll just keep on.
Yeah. You have that environment. People are.
But also, honest. I kind of got to be the shield a little bit.
Sure.
And deflect, and don't always see that, and that's okay. It's not about that, but it's more to just make sure we're balancing that out correctly, and they're not getting overwhelmed. So,
well, you do a great job of that. What else we want to cover today, man?
Geez, I don't know.
I think we did it.
Yeah, I think we hit just about everything.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you're doing a great job with our design development group. I enjoy working with you on projects. We're kind of together on a couple pursuit / contracts now, cranking away. I'm glad you reached out those years ago, and then we made that happen and brought you back to Florida.
Yeah, I had some FOMO. I mean, it's like well, when you guys did your Gen Z thing, right? Y'all know what that one is, right?
The one I was really good at
was the one you were.
I was.
I can't remember who was having a hard time with that one.
It wasn't me.
But yeah, I was, seeing the growth and staying in touch with my friends. I mean, I always counted people that a handful of his people as friends. It was cool to see, and I'm like, yeah, man, I just really want to be part of that. And we were already talking about making a change, and it was my wife she's amazing. It's like, you should reach out.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I will.
Yeah. And here we are. And we brought some folk, at least one other person down from the Northeast.
Yeah.
And
Colleague
so-
of mine
Yeah,
up in Pennsylvania, and he's doing awesome too, and he's happy, and that's great. I love it.
So we're recording this in February. I wonder what the temperature is in Pennsylvania.
Oh, gosh.
So if
In
you're
the
if you're
20s
listening to this
probably?
podcast in Pennsylvania, quit your job right now and come work for PGA in Florida.
There you go.
Eddie says do it.
P and A are right in the name. You just, put the G's here.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there. But yeah, man, I just think, that I just remember at PBS&J, it was like, when we were in those trenches, it was still, we were all getting along with each other, and there was just that level of kindness and teamwork and, just that I got your back kind of thing. And I've felt that so much since I've been back here, and it has relieved so much pressure on me, personally too. And, it's like the great philosopher Jewel said, only kindness matters. And I think that's, it really resonates. And if you're just nice to people, like genuinely nice to people, it'll work out.
I agree. Now, did you have that Jewel quote in your back pocket waiting for the moment to insert that, or did that pop into your brain
A little bit.
spontaneously?
Yes, a little bit.
I'm impressed
It was
either
not
way.
spontaneous.
Yeah.
Exactly. But
I love that. That's our first Jewel quote of the series.
she's a great philosopher, right?
No one's going to argue with that.
Yeah,
It's been a lot of fun, buddy.
it's been great.
All right. This has been a great episode. Eddie Giese, group leader for our design development group. Thanks for joining us on PGA's Breaking the Ice podcast. We're going to wrap it up as we always do. With a good PGA, we're going to do it on 3.
On 3.
Go PGA.